Hello everyone, ciao ragazzi, welcome to our first official podcast about Formula One in Osservatore Sportiva. Ladies and gentlemen, the Formula One season has officially begun. I sincerely congratulate you on this. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Justina. I am an officially accredited Formula One journalist. Now, let me introduce our guests. Mandy, Manena, and Ekaterina. Mandy is a motorsport journalist from the United States. She's an accredited journalist for IndyCar, World Endurance Championship, GT World Challenge America, and the F1 America Series. Also, she has her own YouTube channel and blog. Hello, Mandy.
Hi.
Okay, Manena is a blogger from Mexico. She had an internship at the Mexican Grand Prix. She has her own YouTube channel about Formula One. Hello, Manena.
Hi.
And Ekaterina, she has been a sincere fan of Formula One since 8 years old. She has her own blog about Formula One on Instagram. Hello, Ekaterina. Okay, great. Hello, girls. Welcome, and I'm very glad to see you.
So glad too. What a race today. It was intense.
First race of the season has just ended. The start of the season is given. Honestly, I get goosebumps. So long we have been waiting for this. And what about your mood and emotions?
Oh my gosh. So many emotions. So many emotions. That win should have been for Max Verstappen. I still cannot get over it. 1 second place by less than a second. That was just too much for me to handle.
So, when I was watching the race, I saw Max having a really good pace. I was confident Red Bull had the fastest car. I really wanted to see him win. And now, in the last lap, so it seemed they made a good strategy to do it to the win finally. And then in the last lap, Lewis overtakes him back. And at the end, oh my god.
Okay, girls. 100% on board with all of the opinions. Manena, you nailed it. I was going to say that I'm going to get heat for this, but that was Max's race to win. I'm sorry, Lewis Hamilton fans. That was not your win. I'm sorry. I'm getting mad, like vibes that are from like remember the Canadian Grand Prix with Seb where he lost? So I am getting the same vibes as that because here we are, FIA not being consistent and then having a penalty that changes the end of the race, like the race result. Obviously, this is what we all want, a battle to the end, which it delivered, right? We have Max and Lewis, like the battle kept going, and I thought this was awesome. So a brilliant race, except for that end, right? I felt robbed.
Yeah, we have the first podium. The breaking news, Max Verstappen has challenged Sir Lewis Hamilton, but the Briton was faster than his opponent, and oh my god, what a race it was, and what a finish. What a pleasure to watch such a beautiful fight. I think many people were divided into two sides. Some believed in the victory of Mercedes, others were still for Red Bull, but for Max. And joy of the Mercedes team is simply impossible to describe. Did not the team expect to win the race? Mercedes was incredibly fast, although during the test they were not so fast as Red Bull. And was it the dust in the eyes that they like to use on tests, as they are always slow there and then show just phenomenal speed? Does this already look like a tradition? And what do you think about it? And how we can expect new records and the 8th Lewis Hamilton title this year?
I have so much to say about this, like so much. I think this season I'm seeing more Team Max people than Team Lewis because Max Verstappen is a great contender for the World Championship. This had never been a thing. It was always Lewis Hamilton first, Bottas second, Max third. And it was obvious that Bottas was not gonna reach to Lewis's potential. But after seeing how strong the Red Bull team is coming this season, Max Verstappen has such a huge opportunity to win world champion. finally. What I am sure though is that Red Bull is going to win Constructors. That's a given, at least for me. But I do have a lot of faith that Max Verstappen can still be the world champion this season. I mean, the first race does not, give the answer to the rest of the season. It's only the first race. And after Red Bull saw how much potential their car has and how close they were to Lewis Hamilton, of course they're going to do even more improvements in their car so that Max can actually beat Lewis Hamilton. And about Mercedes being weak at testing and then good, during the season, that for me is getting old and boring. I mean, they're becoming so predictable. They pretend to be all like, oh no, we're not gonna win. And then boom, they win. I mean, it's like, really? Like, find another act, This is getting way too predictable. Just like Lewis Hamilton winning, since we all know how strong they actually are.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Every year they make such a performance saying, oh no, we're weak, we're having problems and all the stuff, and now it's Mercedes 1-2, Mercedes 1-2, Mercedes 1-2 over the season. That's becoming so old. Yes, and speaking about Max and Lewis, I am Max team more too. I like Toto Wolff, and seeing that Mercedes will lose will be not really feeling like a win for me. But I think Max, he was racing in Red Bull behind Mercedes for so much time. I think he really deserves a win after all his efforts. And that must be a win for Max and for Red Bull too, I think. And what about their potential between Mercedes and Red Bull? I think this year we know some regulations were made to mix up the grid. So some of the problems Mercedes were talking about, I think in some places they were right. But overall, they're still very fast and they can still win. So that's all was like a performance. Yes.
100%. Both Ekaterina and Manetta, I think you guys nailed it both when you said it's getting old. It's getting old. The whole we have issues and then boom, magic happens, right? As soon as it matters. Magic suddenly always happens, right? I'm with everybody. I want Max to win. I think he's so talented. I think he's the only one that's been able to challenge recently. He's the only one that's been able to challenge them. And he does deserve it. He does deserve this. However, Lewis Hamilton, you can't write him off. He's an amazing driver. He is, whether you want to say it's the car or not. We still have to give him credit for fighting the way he does. It always magically happens, right? When his tires are gone, he still is able to win. There's something to be said for that skill level that is Lewis Hamilton. And the thing with Mercedes is that we saw, right? We got a little bit of a insight into their weak spot, which happened to be tires, right? Like their tire management was just off on this race, and Red Bull was doing it right. You better believe that Toto is going, as soon as this race is done, just because they won, it's not over. That they're going to come back stronger. I think that it's going to be a battle. But does Max have that potential? Absolutely. I expect Max to be doing well. I expect it's only race one. But I also expect Lewis to be hungry for that 8th title. Come on. He's here to break records. You know that.
Definitely, yeah, sure. Red Bull improved a lot this year and they showed excellent results, as we already say during the test. And Max Verstappen was the fastest driver in all 3 practice sessions. And what a battle was between him and Lewis Hamilton in the final segment of qualifying. And well, as we already discussed in the race itself too. But not only Max made his fans worry today, Sergio Perez also made them worry. The car's engine just simply shut down before the start of the race, but the driver managed to start from the pit lane. He had a great race. Before the start of the weekend, Checo admits that it takes him a few races to roll in and perform at the limit of his capabilities. But in general, what do you think are the chances of Perez remaining in the team for 2022? Will it not be the same story as in previous years when the team needed better results in a short time?
for being his first race with a new team that is known to be probably the toughest car to drive, he did amazingly. I mean, he went from 11th to 5th on your first race on a new team is a great result. I mean, it's probably not enough for Christian Horner, you know, but as he said, he is asking for 5 races. So we'll see how it goes. I think he does have a lot of potential. As in him staying on the team till 2022, I am not 100% certain. If he does perform as well as he did last season, he'll surely remain. I think he's a great, teammate for Max, but in a way, Christian Horner has kind of made it clear that Checo Perez is only there until he finds a suitable driver, kind of filling his seat. So I really hope that Checo's performance does change his way of thinking. So I do hope that Checo remains many more seasons.
I agree with you. I can say that today, the performance of Checo was, it can be called like flying like a rocket. He was overtaking driver after driver. And speaking about Checo overall, I can say he is a very strong personality. He has lots of experience. He is a very strong driver. So I think it won't be like with Alex Albon or Pierre Gasly behind Max Verstappen. I think he will be a lot stronger, and I think he will prove to Red Bull that it is his seat and he deserves it. So yeah, that's all.
I totally agree. So here's the thing. I feel like Checo is having like a bit of a comeback. Like he's right. He's like right. Like he's on a roll from Aston Martin, and then he comes into here and he's doing well. I mean, that was a brilliant race. He straight up had all these problems, had to start from pit lane, and then came up P5. P5 is pretty huge considering you had all of the problems, right? Of course, it's Christian Horner. He doesn't care about problems. He cares about results. So, right? Vanetta's like, yes, if there's an F2 driver or somebody that's coming in the lines, a young, fresh blood, yes. Yeah, we're going to get to that. I have a whole little thing on him. So we'll get to that. Yeah, but Yuki. So I think that if there are no other options, then I think that Checo could have a seat after next year. Does he deserve it? Yeah, I think he does, because I think every driver just that has proven themselves and is able to come back, especially in F1, is so hard. I think that he deserves the seat, no doubt, and his potential is clear. At Aston Martin last season, now he has a good car, and he proved himself today. I think that as long as he can stay up there with Max and help the driver's constructor, I think that he's got a good chance. But like I said, that all depends on who's coming in the pipeline later.
Very nice, perfect. And now let's pay attention to the drivers who are outside of the top 3. I would choose in McLaren. Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris look like a great duet. McLaren continues to hold the bar they set last year, and it's very cool. Lando Norris finished in the 4th place and Ricciardo is 7th, and I have a feeling that we may see these 2 drivers on the podium several times this year, and perhaps even on the highest level. What do you think about their results in this race, and what are your expectations for the team for the season?
I am so excited about McLaren this season. They have incredible potential. Red Bull and McLaren are my teams to watch this season. Lando Norris is coming on so strong. He is literally on fire. And it's not long until Daniel Ricciardo gets up to his level because, well, we all know it takes Daniel a while to adjust to his new cars and teams. I'm excited for them. That's all good things. Sending them all the good vibes. I am just so happy that the good team, let's say, because all the McLaren team is just nice people, I'm glad to see a good team be that high.
So their result today, their speed, their pace, it was an expected thing to see because we saw them very good last year and they could provide it to this year. And then McLaren are having a great team inside. They're having an amazing pair of drivers. Lando Norris, as you said, is on fire. Daniel Ricciardo is very experienced. He is very strong too. So I think they both have potential for the podiums. They will be very high this season, and I will obviously be watching them.
I've said this before about the McLaren, because coming from IndyCar, and they've done so well in IndyCar, the whole McLaren umbrella across the boards, across series, have been so consistent. They're getting stronger, and it's all about how that team is run. Zach Brown just does such a brilliant job. And, I had a chance to speak to him about what makes, you're running this team, you're running that team. What's the key to that? And he said, just great communication between all the teams. And you can see that. And that translates over every series. Am I surprised? No, because I know they're going to do well. And my theme is that I see Lando getting better and better and better. I'm really hoping this year he will be more aggressive in his driving style. And I think that he proved it all weekend. Also, like in practice and qualifying. Girls, remember in qualifying, he kept putting down these great laps. And I was impressed. Whatever Lando is doing, it's working. I'm here for it. That team is great. I agree with Manena. You like to see a good team doing well, and that's what I mean. You can see the good vibes across the board, and you want them to do well.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting to watch. And now let's pay attention to the other part of the peloton. Namely, I would like to underline the newcomers of the season. Today was the debut of 3 drivers, Mick Schumacher, Nikita Mazepin, and Yuki Tsunoda. Have you watched their performance, and what is your first impression?
Oh my gosh. Well, okay, let's just leave it at that. And Mick, he was performing so well. I don't know why he ended up so down on the grid.
Because he had the Haas.
Well, yeah, but
You're getting that?
But I mean, then you look at Williams. Williams has improved so much. I was literally impressed. Well, Yuki, oh my God. He is tiny but spicy,
Yes!
You look at him and you're like, oh, he's so cute. He's like a little teddy bear or something. Like, he's just so small, and he doesn't socialize with other drivers. He's not very into, social media. He's just focused on himself, and then bam, he comes and you're like, whoa, is that really him? He performed so well. The cars from Formula 2 and Formula 1 are so different, but he seemed like a pro today. Amazing.
I agree. From the first race, we saw the great potential in him. I think it was 2 times he overtook Vettel. He has a Toro Rosso. Toro Rosso seems to be very strong because they're together with Red Bull, and so they have their strength. But from the first race, from the very first start, a newcomer in Formula 1 was performing so strong. Honestly, I never expected to see so much from him. So what about Mick? He had the Haas, but he was trying to do very well all the race. It was very good to see. I hope next year. Well, Haas said that this year they won't focus on the car anymore. They will prepare for the next one. So I'm hoping that next year I will see them stronger, and if Mick stays there, he will get more chances. And what about Nikita? He crashed the first lap, so we couldn't see much of him.
Exactly. That's why there's not much to say about it.
But in qualifying, he was trying to show a lot from himself, broke the gentleman agreement. He wanted to set a lap, then he spun, then he caused the yellow flag. It was a bit of a craze, but he's so energetic in performance, I don't know how to call it.
All right. So Mazda spin? That's what no, I didn't come up with that. I'm not that clever. That's what the Sky announcers, like the British ones, said. They called them Mazda spin. Took that away from Seb. Thank you.
Everyone loved the word spin. I don't know.
Why?
It's the mistake of a driver. It's sometimes very sad to see many jokes about this.
I know. The memes. I can't wait for the memes. So, I mean, I don't know. What do you want me to say about him? Not impressed. I think he's a dirty driver. I thought he was a dirty driver in F2. I'm not even going to get into the political stuff around him. Thank you, next. Mick is stuck in excuse my language, but a crap box. It's a Haas. You know what's interesting is that last Drive to Survive last season, right? When they got rid of Kevin Magnussen and Grosjean because it's like, whoa, here we go. Is it really a crap box or is it the drivers? I think it's the car. This is proving that how do you drive that? Like, how are you supposed to drive that? Mazda Spin did his own thing. I consider Mick completely different. I'm sad because I think Manena and I talked about, we talked about this, remember? Like, we hope that this doesn't affect his ego, his confidence, right? Girls, like, we want him. He's got that name. He's already got the target on him. And now he's got this car. We hope that he can find something to work with in this car on his next level, right? But even Gunther Steiner has said we know he'll move on. Like, we know that. So, okay. Yuki. Yuki is like, OMG, when he was in practice and he was like, this effing traffic. And I was like, whoa, like he was like having road rage, straight up I was like, where did that come from? This, not so tall man has this like anger. And I'm thinking like, we have kind of a saying, but I'm getting the saying wrong. But it's like big things come in little packages. Well, I think explosive things come in little packages. And Yuki Tsunoda is like this explosive thing waiting to just take off. And he's going to give Gasly a run for his money. I think he will make some mistakes because whenever you are so aggressive like that as a driver early on in your career, you tend to make like Max, right? How many times do we call him Crash Stoppin', right? Never did because I love Max. I've always loved Max, but you know what I mean? He's probably going to have those things. I love the aggressiveness in him. He's got that heat, and I think he will. I mean, I'm just here for the Yuki show. Like, sign me up.
Very nice. Okay, very nice, girls. Perfect. I have a lot of things to say here. Okay, let's get started. To be honest, I did not understand what Nikita Mazepin was trying to do during the qualifying. Perhaps he had adrenaline, he wanted to be faster, to overtake rivals, but could not keep the car on the track. After all, Formula 1 cars are different from Formula 2 cars, but then he says there was a problem with the brakes. But in the race, he flew off the track on the first lap. According to the reply in the broadcast, it was noticeable that Nikita himself made a mistake. He pressed the gas too early on the curb at the exit of the second turn. Because of this, the car turned around and was thrown against the barrier of tires. And this is clearly not the debut he expected. As for Mick Schumacher, this driver has a very, very thoughtful driving style, trying to find his style, adjust. He says he wants to gain experience, but still Mick made a mistake in the race several times and turned around, but he managed to avoid the wall. And apparently, I think today in Haas there will be a big debriefing. And what about Yuki Tsunoda? He impressed me in a very good way. And what a great job he did today. Pierre Gasly looks much more confident against his background, of course, but I think he will be a great example for Tsunoda. Speaking of AlphaTauri, the team has significantly improved compared to the last successful season for them. But I am so sorry for Gasly today. Remember his small contact with the left wheel of Daniel Ricciardo's car, where he damaged the front wing. But it's good that Pierre continued the race. And girls, how do you assess the chances of AlphaTauri for 2021 in general?
You know what? I retract what I said earlier that my teams to watch were Red Bull and McLaren. I definitely have to add AlphaTauri to my list. It could get to a point where it could probably be as equally strong as Red Bull, driver-wise. I think Pierre Gasly has grown so much. I don't think, though, that Christian Horner would allow that much money invested in AlphaTauri because he obviously wants his team to win. And he makes, the decisions basically for both teams. But they have such strong drivers this season. Pierre Gasly has shown us how much he has improved. Today does not count. Today was a mistake. But still, he managed to finish the race and not in last place. And also, Yuki, well, I mean, we already talked about him. There is so much to say about him. And I could honestly talk about him on a whole podcast. Like, Yuki Tsunoda deserves that much attention from everybody. I think he raised so many eyebrows today. I think he has the world impressed, not just us. So I do think they're going to perform amazingly. I have a feeling that Yuki Tsunoda is actually going to achieve podiums this season. Let's just hope my prediction comes true. But Pierre Gasly definitely will achieve another podium. He's just so strong. And I don't know, I feel that he started off the Formula One very weakly, and now he's starting to become a lot of people's favorite driver. He's definitely in my top 3, and I just have so much high expectations of him.
Yes, I agree. To tell the truth, I never expected a lot from him, as I already said. But now I think he will show really much this year. And what about Pierre? He couldn't show much in the race, but in qualifying he got very strong positions. He got very strong laps. It was very good to see him there. And in general, AlphaTauri, they seem to be very strong as they got the strength from Red Bull, they got the engine, and the aerodynamics of the car is pretty well too. So much expected from them this year. Yes.
I love all the points here. You know, Manetta, I love how you were like, AlphaTauri is on my list of, you know, drivers to watch, because I'll tell you what, you know who else is having a comeback is Gasly. Like, he had that comeback, you know,
He's that comeback.
He's the comeback.
That's his episode. Yes.
That is his episode. You're right. And that's exactly right. He is going to get, I think it was a fluke, this race. So let's be real. It was a little bit of a fluke running into you know, Daniel Ricciardo there. But I think he's consistently getting better. I think there's so much depth to him as a driver. And just going back to, you know, we saw a little bit too, like that piece he wrote about, you know, things that have changed him and everything like that. And then why can't I think Antoine? Oh my gosh, sorry, rest in peace. So Antoine, like, yeah, like when he passed away and him having this like rekindled passion, I think that's there, and I think that's in his heart, and I think that's something to be looked at, because he's kind of using that. You can kind of see he's got a purpose now, right? And when you have a purpose as a driver, you're going to have that fire, you're going to have that energy, you're going to have that heat. That's what we always talk about. So I consider him doing really well. Like I said, that was a fluke. Yuki, Yuki is like, yeah, we're just all, like I said, I'm here for the Yuki show. Together, very powerful. Together, I agree, I think they could be as powerful as Checo and Max, to be honest. Let's just hope that the car, because they had some car issues last season, you know, you remember? So let's hope that those car issues do not continue, and let's hope that those two drivers, you know, continue to push each other in a healthy way, because if they do, then I see them being much higher up on the grid. I do. Yeah, I do. So I think podiums are definitely, like you said, podium for Maneno for Yuki. I think that's extremely possible. I think that he proved himself just on this race. He's been proving himself all weekend. Yeah, podium. I don't think that's far-fetched for him. Absolutely not. And we just want good things for Gasly. Good things for Gasly. Yeah, because he deserves it. He deserves it too. Yeah, totally.
Referring to the shape of the car, I think we can see good results from the team this year, and maybe they will surprise us again. Speaking of surprises, we were very pleased with the Ferrari today. Excellent pace during tests, excellent qualification. Both drivers reached the final segment. The drivers did not reach the podium in the race, but given the disastrous result of the team last season, today is just a mega achievement. And this is only the first race. In your opinion, this can be called the revival of the team from Maranello, and is this the return of the Scuderia Ferrari?
I mean, after previous season, anything is an improvement, to be honest. And I mean, Mandy and I'm sure we're very excited because we're, you know, ragazze Ferrari. So, and I'm Carlos girl, you know? So I am just so excited. They finished in really, really good positions. I mean, they both managed to get points. And even I think this is going to help Charles Leclerc's confidence so much, because he was starting to being let down also. And now he finished, was it P6 today? Or am I wrong? It was P6 and P8, I think. The final result, which was really good for both of them. especially also for Carlos, because he's in a new team. I think whether he's just warming the seat for Mick or whatever, I think he's going to do so much for Ferrari because he's so strategic. He really gets involved with the team, really gets involved with the car. He's in a way a mini Fernando Alonso, but revolutioned, you know? So that could even make him better. I don't know if he's ever going to get to be a world champion, but after 2022 with the new rules and everything, anybody can win. So I'm just really excited for Ferrari this season. They're another team that deserves it. Also, so that Mattia Binotto can kind of redeem himself, you know, because everybody has him in like a not such a high regard. And especially now that he's got two young drivers in such a legendary, historic, and old team. So people are very skeptical about this, but I think that Carlos and Charles are going to get lots of podiums. Well, not lots, but they are going to get podiums. And I think they're actually going to prove to the world that they're the drivers that Ferrari needs.
Yes, I totally agree with all what you said. So, well, as for me, I think last year they had a fine which caused many engine problems, so they were really, really slow. And this year, it was pretty obvious for me that they will be faster because I knew they won't have this problem anymore. So I expected this. And what about calling this a revolution of Scuderia Ferrari? I'm not sure because I think they need some more time to improve to the highest level they were in 2018, 2019. But overall, I think it's a bit happiness to all the team to see that they can compete again.
I love all the points. I do agree with you, Menina, on the Carlos maybe being like the seat warmer for Mick Schumacher. But I do think that these two young drivers have, already proved. I will tell you, I was impressed with Carlos being up there already, right? And like I said, because I like to, let's talk about the whole weekend. He has been consistently, they've been on par. So whatever problems they had with Seb's car are not translating over to Sainz this year, or they have figured it out. So that is something we want to see, because I've said this before, you have to have both drivers up there. You can't just have one driver up there, especially if you want to take on Mercedes. So Revival, they are not, I think they're on the right. This has only been one race. I think we need to, I'm trying to be cautious because let me tell you, every time I get excited and I go over there and I do my Instagram post, it's Forza Ferrari. Oh yeah. And then they do back. So I am like,
don't jinx them and don't post anything.
No, I won't. So don't worry, I won't. So I'm just going to be like this the whole time. Okay. So, but what I will say is that this is a great step. It's a long season. I'm hoping that this is something positive, something we can look forward to for them. Revival, not just yet. I don't think Ferrari is going to have a revival until they have a driver that wins the championship, because we are still waiting since Kimi. Am I right? I'm like, girls, am I right?
Right.
Like, am I right? Ekaterina, right? Like, yeah, exactly. Kimi is the last world champion for Ferrari. That's a long gap. Seb couldn't do it. We have all our hopes on Charles. Charles is my driver in Ferrari. He is, and I have lots of faith in him. But like I said, the revival isn't going to be there until the Tifosi are raising their Ferrari flags for a world championship driver. I'm sorry, but that's it. So still work to be done. I'm very hopeful, but I'm also playing it cool. Because I'm doing the opposite of what I've done. Because every time, I know I'm trying to. I'm so superstitious. I'm the worst. You know that. We're Mexicans. We're so we're Mexicans. You know this. We're like every day. We're like, oh, that's a sign. Like That's it.
So, girls, it's really cool. And here's Sebastian Vettel. He's playing for another team this year. His 18th result in qualifying was not very good, to say it the least, considering how high his teammate Lance Stroll was. But Seb said it was the yellow flags that got in the way, and then Vettel was fined for violating the yellow flag rule, and therefore he started the race from the 20th position. In the race, he showed several times the best time, but again, Lance Stroll kept in the point zone, and Vettel was only outside it. And then there was the collision with Esteban Ocon, and how so? And girls, what do you think is going on? I really want to see him on the podiums this year.
Oh my gosh. I would literally love to get inside his mind. I feel there's so much going on with him, and not good things. I mean, he was probably the worst at the preseason. Saying that even Nikita Mazepin was above him every single day is saying a lot, you know? And Lance Stroll is also another driver that's growing. I wouldn't say he's got like, whoa, amazing potential, but he's a driver that is constantly, yearly growing. He's becoming a better driver. He's proving himself. But Vettel is a driver that I feel needs to regain his confidence or simply quit the Formula One. You know, I feel I've said this before, I guess, that the psychology of the drivers is so important, and it's something that we don't normally pay attention to. So they each take, you know, their problems differently. You know, Max Verstappen, the more he loses, or Pierre Gasly, the more they lose, the stronger they become. But then we have Ricciardo and Vettel, where the more they lose, the less confident they become. So I feel Vettel is at a stretch where he's asking too much from himself. He should just take it slow and go improving day by day. Not expect to win world championship, especially on a new team with a whole new branding and a new car, you know? So I think that, yeah, it might be Seb's time to retire very soon if he doesn't gain his confidence back. So
as for me, I think he's my favorite driver, so it's pretty much to say there. I know maybe I often overthink it, but if we start from the beginning, in the preseason testing, he had many problems, and Aston Martin is a very new team to him. The engine is new, the system there is new, so he was the one who needed a lot of time to get used to this all, and he didn't have it. He didn't have the practice in Abu Dhabi. He missed the whole session in preseason testing, and in testing in Bahrain he also missed a lot. So that was one difficult point. Then in qualifying, I really believe that these were the yellow flags, because if you look at the timing in FP2, if I'm not mistaken, his lap is like 1:31, and if you look at his fastest lap in qualifying, it's 1:32, so he definitely could do more. So it's obviously the yellow flag, I believe. And in the race, he got the penalty, which, well, frankly speaking, I think it's unfair, because under this yellow flag there were also George, I think, and Ocon and Stroll also get fast there, and they didn't get anything, and he got the penalty, and he also got the 3 points fine. Well, and in the race start, I was watching it, I was really surprised. In the first lap, he gained 6 positions. He managed to do it to the 14th, but then I think he had some pace problems, maybe the tire issues, maybe the strategy was not the best. Well, but in the race, there were some weak points and some strong points too. So I think it's a shame for me to see that he struggles really, but on the other hand, I see there are some places where he improved a bit, so fighting with Alonso, for example, or in the race starts. So it has gone from that state point when went wrong like it was in Ferrari last year. I think he's slowly improving and it's very good for him. So it can be a mistake to expect that from the first race with Aston Martin he will get the podium, he will win. It is wrong. I think he needs much time to adjust to the team, to adjust to the car, and psychologically I think he needs time to recover, because I don't know, maybe he's really broken after Ferrari. I think it was very hard for him. He loved this team so much, and how it all ended, it was very painful, and I think he needs just much time. Right.
My thoughts on Seb. Can I plead the fifth? That's what we say in America. Can I plead the fifth when we don't want to answer the question?
Yeah, I'm watching Suits. So I know what you mean.
Yes. Can I plead the fifth? Okay. No, seriously. I like Ekaterina's opinion better. I'm just going to go with hers. No.
Hers too.
No. Honestly, okay, I'm a Seb fan. Seb's my favorite driver. What is going on with him? That's a good question. I'm gonna address a couple of issues here, and I'm going to say, first of all, he's like the unluckiest driver, and he just is. I feel like like those penalties under the yellows, like, and then on top of that,
you got 2 more points.
No, I know. You're right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, what the, like, WTF? Like, I mean, wasn't it bad enough that he couldn't even get a good lap in? But no, let's make it worse. Oh, hold my beer. FIA is like, hold my beer. Let's make this worse. And they did. They like totally did. And obviously, that wasn't good. It's never good. He did make some good improvements. But on the other hand, and I try to be unbiased when it comes to my favorite driver. On the other hand, what the hell happened with Ocon? That was 100% his fault. I'm sorry. That was his fault. Like, he locked up and then gets on the radio. Well, if he changes lines, I'm going to lock up. It's like, Seb, no. Like, come on, Seb. Like, you're a better driver than that. And what we're seeing is, we are seeing a lot of stuff going on with his confidence, with his psychological stuff, like you said, Menena. There's no doubt that's still carrying over. And I agree with Ekaterina. Like, he's over there trying to prove himself. He's trying so hard, trying to prove himself over and over again. I'm on a new team. I gotta do better because there are people, like you said, Menena, which is a fair point. Is he ready to retire? I think that's a fair point to bring up, because we're seeing this pattern. However, it is only the first race. I don't think he had a good car in testing. He definitely is one of those drivers that takes a while to get comfortable in his car. So is Daniel, but nobody faults Daniel for that, because there are too many Seb haters out there. But right, Ekaterina knows. You do know, like, you know, because we're Seb fans, we see it more. I think it's too soon to say this is like the end. I definitely think that. Let's see how this season goes. It's way too soon for that. Let's see how this season goes. And oh, by the way, I don't know if you got, like, on Sky, they had Otmar on there. They were talking to him about the car, and do you know what he said? He straight up said, it's unfortunate that the regulations happened because they set us back. Yes. And I agree that they were doing, and this is what I mean by Seb is so unlucky. Like, if he was in that car last year,
and then he has this stuff. No.
No, but then at the same time, but, you know, I am a firm believer. I'm superstitious with, that's just, this karma's happening. What's going on? Like, but at the same time, we can't prove that, right? We can't prove that. But what we can prove and what we can look at are his results. And the results are weak. But at the same time, the facts are the car was weak too. But he has made mistakes. So let's hope that Aston Martin can get this together. I feel promising because Lance Stroll, you always look at the teammate, right, for the benchmark for him, and Lance Stroll was doing well. So let's hope that that happens. Let's hope that his car can at least be on par with him. So if we, at the end of the season, we talk about Seb again, and if he's not delivering close results to like Lance Stroll, then we'll address this issue. But right now, let's calm down. Everyone needs to calm down and give Seb a chance. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, very nice, Wendy, very nice, girls. Let's talk about some positive things now. Speaking of Aston Martin, I immediately think of their bright green livery, and I can say that by design it's my favorite one. Yes, this year many teams presented a very unusual livery of their cars, and which one did you like the most, and which one might have surprised you?
I agree with you with the Aston Martin. It's very close to my first option. It's very different to my first option, which I'll say in a minute. I love the whole branding of Aston Martin because they didn't really go for that British green they said they were going to use. They went for a better green. Mm-hmm. So I think their branding is sexy. That's what Aston Martin represents. My favorite livery, though, is kind of plain, but I thought it was very classic and elegant. I love the Alpha Tauri livery.
Oh, what about me? I really love the Aston Martin too. When I was watching the presentation, I was like, this really? I was afraid to see many pink there, but they did it like the line under, so it was very, very good. Another livery, I really liked the Alpine and it's blue. I never expected to see such an amazing thing. And then I never thought I would say that, but I like Williams, because when I saw that on the pictures on Instagram, I thought, oh, it's like a toy car or something. And I saw that today in the race, and in the race they look beautiful. I don't know, maybe you'll disagree with me, but I like Williams. I'm surprised I'm saying this.
Oh, it's very nice. It reminds me of the vintage Formula One cars. You know?
Yes. How's that look? Okay, so Aston Martin was my favorite. There was not enough pink. That's just my opinion. So I like the watermelon vibes, right? It looks like a watermelon. Love it. I have a friend on the pit crew, and he works on Stroll's car, and he sent me pictures of his suit before we saw it, and he sent me a picture of his shoes. And they're Jimmy Choo. Did you know that? Jimmy Choo sneakers. And I was like, what? Yeah, I was like that. Did you see it, Ikarina? Yeah, he sent me a close-up. If you go on my Instagram, you can see I did some special pictures of like the suit that he sent me and the neon helmets, and then close-ups of the shoe. And it's so cool. It says like Aston Martin F1, and then you can see the Jimmy Choo on the box. So way cool. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about this because I think it's important we talk about it. Every year, everybody, all the fans, oh, Ferrari, your car's going to be red. Oh, boring. Oh, so-and-so. Oh, I'm not impressed. Oh, it's the same livery. Oh, it's the same car. Okay, and then what does Ferrari do? They freaking put like this neon green on it, and then what do the fans do? Oh, it's hideous. I'm like, what do you want? They changed it. Okay. I like it because I think it's crazy and it's like, it's so random and I like it. And it reminds me, there's this movie in the 1980s called Ghostbusters, and there is the Slimer, which is neon green, and it literally looks like Slimer came and just goes on top of it. Cool. You know what? It's like avant-garde a little bit. It's edgy.
It's
so that's like,
I'll give you that, but I don't like it. No, I wanted the classic red. I was ready to say Ferrari's favorite livery of the season until I saw it. I was like, no, it was just wrong. It looks very fast though. It looks like a fast car. That's what the image represents for me. It looks fast, and they're kind of delivering so far. So yeah.
Hopefully the green brings some good luck. But like I said, everybody, like every year, right? How many, oh boy, Flori's gonna do red. And they were like, nah, watch this. And then they do it and all the fans are like, oh, it's like so the way it is. You can't make anyone happy. Anyway, I thought it was kind of fun. Christmas, festive vibes, lots of things going on.
So cool, girls. And recently the third season of Drive to Survive was launched on Netflix, and there is a lot of drama, a lot of intrigue, stories as usual. And have you already managed to watch it? If yes, tell us a few words about your impressions and what are the pros and cons of this third season.
Yeah, finally finished watching it. They, you know, because of the whole pandemic, I feel that they took this very dark turn on the season. It had me kind of cringing and very anxious while watching it. They lowered down all the colors and editing to make it a bit more suspense and terror and stuff. So that I was not the biggest fan of that. But what I did like a lot was that they dedicated time to every single driver and team on the grid. Something that they never had done before. They had always, selected a few drivers and then they would leave the rest out. The only team they missed to put on the season was Williams, which I found really weird. They didn't talk about Williams. They didn't talk about, Nicholas. Yeah, they didn't talk about George Russell. I'm like, okay. But they talked about everybody else. That was amazing. And well, it kind of gave you this perspective of what was actually going on. The things we weren't seeing with the whole pandemic and everything. So, yeah, I have more good things to say about the season than bad things, but it has not been my favorite season.
Yes, what about me? I haven't watched the whole season yet, but I have seen some episodes. So the one thing I can say, I liked the second one more because they always over-dramatized it. But in the third season, they did too much of this, especially between Carlos and Lando, that fake drama that surprised everybody. I don't know, I think they shouldn't do it. It was not a good idea.
Okay, I have like one episode left to watch, but Seb is a legend. Let's just talk about that. That was hilarious when he was straight up that was awkward as
very
and he's
awkward.
Over there. Oh, that's what I mean. Seb is a legend. He's not playing nice. That was hilarious. And then Charles is like laughing so hard and they're both like scared of Sylvia. I think that's hilarious. So they're like it's so funny. That part was amazing. I love that part. I have to agree with you, Ekaterina. There are some moments that they dramatize things too much. You know what I don't like? I don't like when they take radio messages that are
them.
Yes, and they switch them. No, he didn't say that on track at that time. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? And I hate. So if you want to call Drive to Survive a docuseries, then I have so many issues with that. If you want to call it fictional or a dramatization, that's different. And that's what
or reality.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Right. You know what? Can I talk about something that really bothered me about Drive to Survive this season? Leading up to Grosjean, we were talking about Grosjean. Okay, leading up to that, they pinned him as such a reckless driver. Do you guys remember that? He was like, I've got nothing to lose. I've got nothing to lose. And then there's this one quote that I just didn't like. And I normally really like Jenny Gao a lot. I have so much respect for her. But she said something that I didn't like. And she said, oh, well, racing's an addiction. And I didn't like that because we're media journalists. Don't speak for the drivers. If a driver tells you that quote, then you say, Lando Norris once told me driving is an addiction. And then you go into that. But don't speak for the drivers. Because what ended up happening was she goes, it's an addiction. So now and then they go into Grosjean being reckless. And then it looked like he did it on purpose. And for those people who don't follow F1 like we do, it kind of makes him look bad. Like he did that on purpose. And this is such a moment where this could have happened to any of the drivers. And this could have, this was such a surreal big moment for all of us, that accident. And then having it kind of painted in that way just rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know. That's just my opinion. But I love her and I love her work. I think it was just, and I will tell you that I don't think she would say that normally. I think that here we go again with the dramatization, girls, is that it's the producers feeding her lines like that. It's the dramatization where the series is like, let's make it this way to add this aspect to it that doesn't need to be there, So love, yeah, go ahead, Manana.
And then they showed us Romain's crash again. After, the whole drama that it caused, that the F1 kept on replaying it. Mm-hmm. And now they show it again. I thought they weren't going to show it. I thought they were just going to show the end result, but not the actual crash. So that's another thing that bothered me. Because it's not much respect towards Romain,
Yes, that you just took the words right out of my mouth. It's that they don't respect it in that way. And Ikarina, you get upset. I know you're like, oh, it's too much. This is going on, and why do they dramatize this Lance and Carlos thing when it's not there? It's that kind of stuff. To us, is we find that disrespectful, because it's like, we know what's going on. Like, the drivers deserve better than that. So
I'm surprised that the George Russell story wasn't shown too. But a few days ago, I watched a video blog of a Formula One photographer who was just photographing Netflix with George Russell, and apparently his story will be in the 4th season probably. And can you imagine if, for example, at the end of the season he signed a contract with one of the top teams? So how interesting the plot can be.
Definitely. I think it's Mercedes' way of saying, watch out, George Russell is coming. I mean, that was probably, without counting Romain's crash, that was probably the highlight of 2020. George Russell in a Mercedes. And it's the only thing they don't show in the season. It's like his meme of him saying, when you reach episode 10 and you realize you're not in Drive to Survive, is so true, I mean, so I do think that they're exactly what you said. They're gonna show it on Mercedes' episode in the 4th season. Oh, look, here's our new driver, So I do think he's gonna be in Mercedes by 2022.
Yes, no, I agree. There is a theory that for the next year, Mercedes drivers will be Verstappen and Russell. About Verstappen, I'm really not sure, because he's doing very well at Red Bull. I think that's a lie. And what about George? I think this is really possible because he's showing great potential. He showed this in the race in Bahrain when he was replacing Lewis. So I think if Toto won't sign a contract with Valtteri or with Lewis, it will be George's place, definitely.
And both contracts are ending, so it's a great possibility he's gonna pick out both, Because even Toto has said in previous, I think it was season 2, or season 1, either one, that George Russell is going to be a future world champion. Toto Wolff has said that.
And
no, you're right.
He said that this year they won't make the conversations of contract really long. He said he was just going to decide it in summer, just not like this year when we were waiting for a while when they will sign a contract with Lewis, right? You
know what, too? I was going to say, there was one of the, I guess, the Mercedes episode where there's something about Bottas here. He's like, it's kind of like, I don't want to say like a sore loser, but when your whole, I don't mean that so I know Manetta's laughing at me, but like, it's because, in the episode, he's just like, I'm going to beat Lewis. I'm going to beat Lewis. And Lewis is like, you ain't even on my radar. But it's like, because Bottas is like, it's almost sabotaging, right? When you have this negative, like, I just got to do this. I just got to do it. You get inside your own head.
When you're upset. Very obsessed.
He's obsessed with Lewis in a not so, like, it's okay to be competitive and to want to beat your teammate. That's healthy, but this is like on a weird level. And I felt like Drive to Survive really highlighted that with that whole episode. And then the thing is that there was, in that Mercedes episode, I forgot to mention, you had Toto when he won over Lewis. Toto got on and goes, okay, everybody, let's all congratulate, Bottas. It was weird. It was eerie. It was almost like they were like, let's act like we're excited. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not speaking for Toto, but it was like that kind of like feeling I felt there versus like, it's like, okay, like they really wanted Lewis to win, but Bottas. And when you have that kind of team dynamics, even though, Toto goes, no, we don't have a second driver. We all know. And we all know that George Russell is.
He even said a comment once about Valtteri being, like the other driver. I don't really remember the exact phrase that he said, but even Valtteri made a remark on it. He's like, when they imply you're the second driver, it hurts. Because Toto always says, no, we're equal. Everybody's equal here. Well, no, they're not.
No, they're not. And it's clear. I mean, we all know that. There's nothing new there. I will say this, though. We're all shocked that George Russell wasn't in that episode. In the series. I'm not shocked because this is what happens when you have people producing a show that aren't F1 fans. They don't know what is good and what's not. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like they don't know, and you girls know this because we watch the series, and I'm being critical because I'm an ex-TV producer, so I'm looking at it this way because they don't have all their facts. They think, oh, this is happening and this is happening, but you're missing out on things because you don't know the sport so well. And that's what happens. So then you lose the George Russell storyline. But I'm wondering if Mercedes just didn't want to show that.
I think it's mostly that.
Yeah.
Yes, and what about some more about Valtteri? I think he said that he's going to beat Lewis and he's challenging him just because he's like should say it. I think again, turning to the psychological aspects, I think he was put in the like second driver box so many times that he is like he took this and he is racing with the thought that he is behind Lewis and he's saying he wants to beat him just because he's supposed to, just because he should.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what Mercedes made to him.
Okay, unfortunately our podcast is coming to an end, and so I will ask you one last question. The season has just begun and everything can change totally by the end of the year, but let's each of you name 3 drivers who will be in the top in the individual standing at the end of the season, and 3 teams in the World Constructors Championship standings, and 8 months later on the final podcast we will compare your predictions to reality.
So I don't care if people give me hate for this. I am gonna say it anyway, and I'm gonna be bold enough to do it because on my predictions video I got so much hate for saying that Max Verstappen is gonna beat Lewis Hamilton. I am still gonna stand by that. Max Verstappen will win world champion. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But that's my first place. Second, Lewis. Third, I'm kind of torn between Bottas, Checo, and Ricciardo. I know I have to pick one, so just by the obvious results, I'm gonna go with Bottas. And standings, constructors, Red Bull, Mercedes, McLaren.
Yes, so what about me? I'm joining you with Max winning the championship, then again Lewis, and then something, yes, I don't want to say that it will be Bottas or Paris, I want something bold again, so let it be Ricciardo. Why not? I think he can. And what about the constructors? First Red Bull, then I think Mercedes, and then, well, I think it may sound really bold, but I will say Aston Martin because I want to see them on top. Seb deserves this, really. I want to see them there, I will say it. Maybe am I wrong, but I think I should say it there.
Perfect.
All right. I'm just going to be different because in my heart, I want Max to win, but I think Lewis will win. I'll go Lewis, Max, and then I'm going to throw in Charles Leclerc.
Ooh.
gonna do it.
Very cool.
I was actually going to tie between him and Lando because those are the two that I'm like, but I'm gonna go with Charles. And then I think it will probably be Red Bull constructor, Mercedes, and
Everyone was for Red Bull, yes.
yes, everybody wants Red Bull. Yeah. So Lewis, Max, Charles Leclerc, constructor Red Bull, constructor Red Bull. I think that Mercedes will probably be in there as second, and then I might go with McLaren for third.
I will be a little bit predictable here. So yeah, for the first one, I will call Max after Lewis and Bottas. But for others, it will be Mercedes, Red Bull, and McLaren. Oh yeah. So like this. So well, the next Formula One Grand Prix will be held in Imola from April 16 to 18. The stage will be renamed to the Grand Prix made in Italy in Emilia Romagna. So this is the end of our podcast. Girls, thank you very much for your participation.
Grazie.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who watched and listened to us. Stay with Osservatore Sportivo. Ciao ragazzi.
Ciao.